So, Danny, how have you and the family been, mate? Okay.
Yeah, really good, mate. Yeah, always keep you busy, don't they? It's full on life with two kids and a couple of dogs thrown in the mix and all their activities and schooling, and yeah, it's never a dull moment, mate.
Good stuff, mate. So, before we get stuck into your rugby story, where was home and who lived with you?
Right now,
when you were a kid.
Oh, home was Dewsbury. I was born and raised in Dewsbury. Yeah, just me and my sister, and yeah, that's where we were born and raised, and then moved to Leeds when I was about 23, and then yeah, came down to London in 2007. So yeah, been about a bit.
Right. So with you just having your sister, mate, where does that competitive edge come from then? Where did that stem?
I don't know. I think my family's all competitive. Obviously, my dad played, and he had a competitiveness, and I think yeah, that was just instilled into you as a kid. You know, playing sports with your old man in the garden. See it now, you hate losing. I've always hated losing, even when my kids were 2 or 3, and you should let them win. I found it really hard. I'd have to beat them about 5 times before I let them win at something, whether it was a ball game or a penalty shootout in the garden. I still had to, no matter. There's always tears. So we was telling someone the other day how games nights are kind of banned now in our house.
Especially if you're the banker.
That's it. We played Monopoly at Christmas, and yeah, we thought, because we'd not played a game for a while, because it always kicks off and someone's always in tears, and with bad winners and bad losers as well. So the winners are always real gloaty, carrying on the tables are getting flipped over, and someone's always kicking off and running upstairs to bed. So it's shocking, but it's decent. Isn't it? You got to be competitive. What you do, and I think being a younger sibling, that always being the youngest of siblings, I think I always think you have it a little bit tougher coming up, because the older sibling always dominates you. Right. You know, bullies you into everything, really. Whether it's sharing your sweets or sleeping in the same bedroom, on a weekend or anything. You seem to just get dominated by your older siblings. You're always kind of fighting that struggle growing up to kind of to run as fast as them or to be as strong as them, and so you've got to have that competitive nature as a youngster. Certainly like with older siblings, I think, and I see that. In players now who come from who's the youngest of a bunch of kids. You can see that they've just, something about them just got that bit more toughness
edge.
Yeah, they've always had to be competitive, and it's a knock it or run, and your siblings are a bit faster and a bit quicker than you. You've got to speed up when you're that young kid, and you're slower than the rest. So survival of the fittest.
On our council estates, mate, first up, best dress for us, wasn't it? I don't know about you. That's what it was round ours.
Yeah, that's it. Every day's a battle. Yeah, you fight one battle or what to get to the breakfast table first, or get the best coat out of the cupboard or whatever it is.
So, how was rugby introduced to you, and where was you took, mate?
Well, I say my dad played, so I've been around band rugby since I was a baby when he played at Leeds, and obviously went to games there since I can remember. Sitting on the wall at Henley and watching games as a kid, and then when he went into his coaching career, at Hunslet, he was a ball boy at Hunslet, at 7-8 years old. That's when they played at Ellen Road as well, which was fantastic. They played at Leeds United's ground, and used to ball boy there, and then started playing rugby at Dewsbury Moor, my kind of local amateur club, and my dad took me down there when I was 7. Joined up with the under-9s at Dewsbury Moor. So that's all it was, really.
What do you remember about them early days? Was it like half a pitch? Was it?
I think I'm sure it just used to be full pitch back then. There was none of this kind of. Not that I remember. There was no 6 aside, 7 aside. It was always just seemed to be 13 aside, full pitch. Just go, whatever it was, 20 minutes. No tag or anything like that back then. It was straight into full contact. Obviously, winter rugby as well back then. So you used to train all the way through the winter. Sometimes you train in a car park I remember training like at Sainsbury's car park and all that. And you'd find a corner where you get a little bit of light, or dad would leave the car running, have his headlights on, like mums and dads on the headlight. You'd find a little, if the fields were flooded and all that.
Yeah.
The facilities have come on a long way, but you was either ankle deep in mud, and that's how it say when it got frozen and the pitch got frozen, then you was in the car park, which was just probably the same as playing on a frozen pitch, and it was just do your best back then. It was great memories of it was a great club, Dewsbury Moor, growing up, and made some friends there that were made for life, really.
I suppose if you were on the car park, mate, it was tick and pass rather than you down and ups and that, didn't you?
I know. Sometimes they'd toughen you up with a bit of contact on that car. I saw you toughen them up in the old days. Yeah. Full contact, playing like games like Bulldog and all that in the car park, and just someone would just get ankle tapped and scrape their knees and
face full of stones.
That's it, yeah. And then grazes and trying not to cry in front of your mates and all that. That was the sessions back then, and just smashing tackle bags on Morrison's car park.
Oh, you don't make them like yous anymore, mate.
Maybe glorifying it a little bit there, yeah. Maybe it's like when old people always talk about the old days, how it was tougher in our day and all that. Sounding like my dad now, yeah.
Before you get banned for throwing a shoulder in, mate.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know your town team back? Did you have a town team, Danny? And what was the process for you?
In town teams, it was all we had the Heavy Woolen was the district that we played in there, which got selected. And we also had like the schools competition, which like Dewsbury and Batley schools, which was very similar to like the Heavy Woolen that you played district competitions, and I thought it was fantastic. It was great. There's so many. Looking back at Dewsbury's just quite a small town, really, but Dewsbury and Batley close together. But you look back at how many junior clubs were actually in that small space. There must have been like 5 junior clubs then. Thornhill, you had Shawcross, you had St John Fisher, which is now Dewsbury Celtic, and Batley Boys. All these teams just within a small kind of small northern town. So there was a lot of lads playing the game to get picked from, and your selection would probably you'd have local cups where you had like 5 or 6 teams competing. So in every year from probably like under 9s, under 10s, you'd have your town team, which was like your Heavy Woolen or your Dewsbury and Batley schools. That sometimes they'd have trial days where they got like 40, 50 lads of the best lads down there, and they'd play some games and then select off the back of that. Or I think it was just kind of coaches putting in their thoughts on who should get picked, and the teams went from there, really. Yeah.
Right. So while we're on that, mate, putting your coaching hat on just for 2 minutes, how do you feel about that selection process? Because obviously back then it was like 40, 50 kids rocked up. Your names were on a board. I'm guessing weren't in 3 or 4 teams. You had like a little inter thing. Is that something you think should still carry on? Because I don't know about up Yorkshire and that, but in Widnes now, they have like just one big team and they split them and play each other. It's not really the schools rugby there anymore, is it?
Right. Yeah, man, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. You got them. You had them kind of steps in playing up a little bit. You had your club side, which was all your mates, and then the levels went up when you played for your Dewsbury and Batley schools. You went and played Leeds, Wakefield. Sometimes you go play in Lancashire or Hull, and that standard was just so much higher than what you was used to. You were playing against better players, which is only a good thing. Selection process. There was times when I missed out on being selected, and that's quite tough as a 11, 12-year-old kid when you go to a trials day and you miss out. It can be quite upsetting. So, but it's dealing with that adversity and learning that sometimes you're going to get knockbacks, I suppose, is a good thing. I think it's not a bad thing that I got turned away from schoolboys, from like representing the town at times, because you've got, it's not all plain sailing, and I think kids need to learn that, to have that resilience and build that of getting knocked back and then coming back the next year and trying out again and getting selected. And I thought it was a pretty decent process, really. Yeah, so it's something that you didn't put you off. So you did come back again, did you, once you've been 100%,
like you say?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what you did. You went back to your club side and you continued playing. You you just didn't get to. Same way like when it was from like Dewsbury and back to schools, and you went to get like Yorkshire. That was the next step up. So you got selected for Yorkshire. You played against Lancashire and you played against Humberside, and that was that next level up. So and then from there it was like England schoolboys. So there was always kind of a next level up, which I said sometimes I'd get through that process. Sometimes I did well, and other times I didn't. But it never really put me off. I'd be upset for that day, or you'd be a bit gutted when you saw your mates going and playing that weekend in representative games or something. That's what, you'd be a bit jealous in that sense. But it never quite put me off. You knew that was a game, and you just work hard and try and get back in last time. But let's say you've got to learn about taking setbacks and realizing that it's not the end of the world just because you've had one knock back there. That pathway to representative, even at a young age, it's not smooth. And it's a good thing to learn that at a young age.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you're playing against them lads anyway, just scattered across clubs, like you said, aren't you? So you sort of know where you're at, thereabout, don't you? You know whether you're capable.
Yeah, you know how well your own team were performing each year. We played with the same group of lads, from under nines, give or take. Like some lads dropped out, some lads came in, but there was a core of them from under nines to under 16s, and same with all the other big teams. We was always kind of in the top division, but we were never quite the top team in that top division. We got to like Yorkshire Cup final, I think, once at like under 15 level, but we were always around that like top 4, top 5. So we knew the standard of them other lads then you'd come across playing for Leeds, playing for Bradford schools, and sometimes you play with them for Yorkshire and things. So it was great environment to then go. You'd be coming up against these lads who you all knew. Everyone had reputations around. There was good players, and Stanley's got so and so playing for him, and they're going to be a tough game. Stanley's got these, and then you come together and you get the chance to play with them for Yorkshire, and it was fantastic. Then you got to know a new bunch of lads, and you had to raise your game to play with these better players as well. So it's all part of a fantastic experience. There seemed to be a lot of that in that era, like the early 90s of them rep sides. I remember when the old curtain raiser before the Challenge Cup final, wasn't it? That were always schoolboys.
It was,
we Dewsbury and Batley schools went the year after. I think I was eligible in the year before, and the year after they went and played at Wembley. So it was gutted that
should have just had a shave.
I know, I looked this old since I was about 13 as well. So. But it was again just something like that was really special at that age group to represent your side and be a curtain raiser at a cup final as well. It all got spoke about every year, and we just made it all the more special. Yeah.
So how was your transition into high school, mate? Was it easier through the rugby, do you think? Or
we didn't play rugby league at high school, which is we had a teacher who liked rugby union, which is crazy because in Dewsbury it was just football wasn't even an option in Dewsbury. It was rugby league or nothing. Like I said, I spoke about all them clubs who were around the area, 5 or 6 junior sides, and then the high school I went to, Wells Eaton High School in Dewsbury, that our kind of sports teacher, PE teacher there he liked football and they liked rugby union. So, the transition into school was great. Everyone just loved PE, no matter what, unless it was cross country that day. When the teachers have a day off, when they must have been out on a teacher's do the night before, and we think, let's make them do cross country today, just make them run around school. Apart from that, I just love PE. It was great. So football, rugby union, but we just, because our rugby union then as team were just full of league lads, so we'd just basically turn it into a game of rugby league, which annoyed the teacher. So we were just playing like there was no one like contesting any rucks or anything like that. We just offloading off the floor and away we go. So it would wind him up, but we just because we all just played league. Whether it was for Shawcross or Dewsbury Moor, we were just a school full of league lads. So we just turned it into however we liked. And I was a fat little 12, 13-year-old, but I stuck myself in at fly half because I knew how to play.
That's right.
Rugby, I'll put myself at fly half in rugby, scrum half, and away we go. Let's just play like league.
Yeah, captain and kicker, mate. I'll just.
That's it. Standard, yeah. Made myself a big armband for a big black armband. We take.
How did you find it though?
What?
How did you find it? Did it? Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed it really. I'd say we was all right as long as we was out, not in lessons. We loved whatever sport we could. It was the same shaped ball and same kind of skills we was playing. So yeah, it was all right. And I think we ended up just getting kind of his parents onto the school to see if we could play league, and that took a while to. I remember it took while we just campaigned kind of the school to let us play league, because that's all we did. And eventually I think we started playing league there, but it was towards the back end of my time at school then. We never had that team, we never had that kind of school team that got into like school tournaments. I think that's a good thing now that, you know, being involved, and you see like the National Schools Cup and things like that, where I've gone to coach a few teams down south down here who are like in the quarterfinals, semi-finals at a national schools comp, and that's a fantastic, you know, competition now. So yeah, I'm a bit jealous that we never got a chance to play in any kind of competition rugby league, because we'd have had a pretty decent team at high school. Yeah.
Right. Was rugby union ever, once you'd had a go, was it always going to be league for you growing up, or would you have considered? Yeah, was it?
100%. Yeah, like saying Dewsbury, they were just like said, football wasn't even an option in Dewsbury. Right. It was either you played rugby league or
nothing.
That was it. Yeah. You were a nerd. You just stood in, you were a nerd, or you played rugby league, or you went and stole cars or something like that.
Or both.
All right. Yeah. No, that's a bit harsh. No, that's what I mean. It was rugby league. There was that many teams in the town. And being quite, you know, having the famous like Dewsbury side and that there on your doorstep, that was right next to my school. Was the old Crown Flats was right next to the door to where we went to school. So it was that's always brought up on around that area. So Union, I wouldn't even know where the local Union club was to where we all lived and played. Yeah.
All right, mate. So what rep opportunities come your way through high school then? Because you've obviously had to fight your way in the system, haven't you?
Yeah, it was. I said the Dewsbury Batley Schools was most years. Same with Edward Woolen. They had a competition, and we do quite well out of that. You know, the teams that we could put together from that local area was pretty strong. And then I think I got selected for like Yorkshire at like under 14s, 15s, and 16s. So it took me a while I kept getting knocked back and not getting selected for Yorkshire up until about under 14s, 15s. And then we went and, you know, we played. They were fantastic. They were just great. At the time, it felt like that level was just so elite. You're coming up against like the best players in Lancashire and the best players from Yorkshire. All these lads who you played against week in, week out, and you play them like over a free match series, which was fantastic. And then that was as kind of high as I got rep wise. I didn't make the England schools in the 16s. I think they normally, you know, go to France and things like that. But that was as high as I got in the schools, and we didn't really have much sport going like rugby league at school. It was all just through my local club and local organisation.
How was you in a new environment as a kid, Dan? Was it something you strived at, or?
I think it was pretty good. Yeah, I think I've been a bit shy in when I was younger, and it took me a while to come out of my shell. But it was good to just be thrown into them. You had no choice but to get in and make the best of them. You know, you got to put in with new lads, and there might be more dominant voices or more dominant people, big characters in youth sport there. And I think it was good. I had a good bunch of mates, and we all knew each other as well. So it is a bit nerve-wracking at first when you go into a new environment, but you learn from it every time and you get better.
Right. So do you know, with you breaching into the Yorkshire team at like, without being horrible to kids and all that, it used to be that age group you're in it now, 14 to 16 tends to be what matters, isn't it? You know, when it comes to club circling. Did you give yourself an inkling that could come about a bit more realistic for you, or?
I think so, yeah. Like, as kids, you there was lads getting signed at, 13 years old, 14 years old, for your Wigans and your Leeds were signing kids on at that age. So you started to realise then at that age that could be the next step. Going to a professional club, sign a professional contract, going to play academy football, and then you knew that scouts would always be kind of like these Yorkshire Lancashire games. That's where the old school scouts stood there in the sheepskin coats and
cigars.
That's it. Yeah, it's exactly like it was. In a nice old big old Ford Cortina, just rock up in a sheepskin coat.
Dead discreet.
That is it, yeah. And everyone kind of knew who the scouts were from these big clubs, and that's where they knew to be at the county games. So you tried to get into them and then put your name, put your face forward for play best football, so you could get into hopefully get yourself signed up by a professional club. Yeah.
So, again, just putting your coaching hat on, mate. Well, because you've been at the elite level, both playing and coaching. How have you seen them types of systems change? How you find that next gem? How do you go about that? And how much has it changed from the Cortinas and
the Benson Rangers and all that? I don't know whether. I don't know if too much has changed. Scouts or coaches still know the game very, very well. Some amazing scouts who would watch, hundreds of games each year, just be out on that field every Saturday, Sunday morning, scanning over kids. And it's just evolved, really. You've still got people out there in the community looking at these, and then, coming into playing in scholarship, coming into a scholarship program and trial games. I think it's evolved, and it's at a good point now with the scholarship program. I think it's fantastic that clubs have these. Whether it gives players and juniors chances, whether it's one night a week to train in that kind of environment with club coaches linked to your Super League sides, and potentially training in the gym of what to do, advice on nutrition, all this kind of advice on what to do off the field as well.
Yeah, your recoveries and stuff.
Yeah, it's so important. I think it's probably a shame if lads do miss out on that. These clubs can't take every lad into these systems. But I don't know what the answer is for making sure everyone kind of gets access to that kind of platform.
Well, you'll upset someone, won't you? So if you take everyone on, the grassroots clubs struggle, don't they? If you don't take enough on, it's like you're not looking.
Yeah, that is hard. If the grassroots that are affected by lads going and playing in scholarship games, and then when lads go to academies that affects, then your under 18s local competition as well. If they're not allowed to go play in the junior game, it's quite hard. Especially, I was speaking to somebody at the weekend about it at my local junior club down here, about how that affects. Because there's not as many. Well, there is a lot of kids playing down here, but then if a lot go into kind of that Broncos setup, then it does have an effect on that under 18s competition as a whole down here, that they can't go play for the community club. And if the academy's not got a game that weekend, that technically they're not allowed because they're signed up. So it has, I don't know whether there is a perfect scenario that you've got them in, because if they go play for a community club and they get injured, then they can't play for the academy setup, then you're in a sticky position as well.
Yeah. So when did clubs start circling you, Dan, and when was you made aware of it, and how did he approach you?
I think it was like just probably around the under 15s mark, under 14s, under 15s, that again playing for the counties, that there was scouts from different teams there, and just approach us and approach your parents really, or speak to your parents after the game, and then just give that interest from certain clubs, and then if they wanted to take it further, either that club had trial days, or if they wanted to just offer you a contract, they'd invite you in and sit you down with your parents and kind of put it to you in that way really. So that's when I kind of noticed it, like about 15 years old. Yeah.
And when did you go and have them look around, all them trial days?
We had one. I kind of went, about 15 years old. I went to Dewsbury, my local town, Featherstone, who were in the top division then. They were interested in signing me, so my dad was actually coach of Featherstone at the time, but yeah, and then Leeds had a trial there. They used to do it. They used to do like a weekend up at Carnegie College, where you'd go in, you'd train, and you'd stay in like the student accommodation for the night, and then you'd have a trial game on the Sunday. So Leeds they invited lots of players out of that like county championship and any other lads who they'd seen on the local kind of rugby scene, and they'd invite them down, and you do some testing, just some basic fitness testing, skills, things like that on the Saturday, and then you play a trial game against each other on Sunday, and then I think out of that, then that's when they offered us kind of a contract that they wanted to. They made it clear then to my parents that they'd want to sign us. So yeah, that was a good one. But we'd been training and all that. We was on like 15, 16 years old, probably like 15. And we'd been up, and it's in Headingley, is the Carnegie College is like in Headingley. So it was Saturday night, we was all staying in the student digs, and was only 15 years old. I thought, right, well, come on, let's have a wander down into Headingley, see what's happening, see if we get like a beer or something like that. And a bunch of us just thought, sneak out. It's only a trial game for Leeds Rhinos next day. It's not anything important. This is how mad as a kid. So we've got, come on, we'll try and sneak into a pub, see if we get like a pint of beer, and like you do when you're 15. Yeah. Put on your dad's voice like that, and have 2 pints of bitter. With your school pants and shoes on. That's what it's like. And then literally went into, I remember like it was yesterday, I went into Three Horseshoes in Emley. Gone to the bar, about 5 or 6 of us, turned around, and it was all like the Leeds staff was all stood, directly staring at us, like saying, all right, lads, like that, they'd come out for a beer, all the coaches who've been on the day. And we were stood there like 15 years old on this Rhinos training camp, just trying to order beers in a school pants and shoes on a Saturday night before we had the trial the next day. So we went back with his tail between his legs back to the digs and got his head down and tried to brush that one on the carpet, but it turned out all right. I played well in the game. Played well in the game the next day, and then off the back of that, Leeds spoke to us about signing us on for the academy and giving us a contract.
What'd you say? Keep the £1 million, I'll prove myself, just gives 900,000.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Your dancing shoes must have been good as well, eh?
Not too bad, yeah. Pair of kickers, school. Doc Martin.
That's what everyone had, wasn't it? Kickers, right?
It was, the Doc Martin period, and then everyone was in the kickers or the dockers, yeah. Standard.
So what were the options? Do you know when you've signed your academy deal? So is there like the YTS involved, or did he find you a job?
It was all the apprenticeship scheme that you got. That's what it was back then. I think it was like you got paid. You signed a contract with the club, and then you got with part of the apprenticeship scheme. You got like about £40 a week it was, and your bus pass, and then you came in, but you were full time then, in a sense. You came in you were able to. I left school at 16 in June or July, and then went straight on to this scheme where you did college one day a week. Say we did college on a Wednesday, it was something like an MVQ in leisure, something like that. And then on the other days, you were able to just train in the morning. There was probably like 15 of us on the scheme. There was other lads in the academy who came in on the night time. They went to college, but we were all thick ones who just wanted to play rugby. So it was great. It was just fantastic. You got great coaches. We had people like Dean Bell and Paul Daly who coached us back then for the academy, and would do your weights, train on the field, and then the afternoon you went out coaching in schools. So you jumped in your car and they give you a school that you did a 6-week blocking on every other day apart from Wednesday, where you coach for an hour in a school, and it was fantastic. So between about 15, he was hitting about 5 schools in an afternoon. And it was good for our development that we was coaching, primary school, junior school kids. basics of rugby league. You had like a plan where week 1 you were teaching passing, teach 2, you know, you might be teaching tackle, and you put it all together and had a tournament on week 6. So it was a great learning experience. And yeah, again, just being around, you know, 16, 17-year-old lads who were just playing rugby on a morning, coaching in the afternoons. It was a great system to be involved in, and yeah, some of the best times of my life was on that apprenticeship scheme. Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah,
that's a bit of money in your pocket. You've got your stash on, haven't you? And
well, that was it. You went from school to getting £40 a week, and it was paid weekly then. So it was fantastic. You was like, you're like a weekend millionaire on that Friday, and you got paid. You was like cash all over.
Prince of Leeds.
It was all like, it was only 40 quid, but it felt like from going to school to having £40 in your pocket. It was awesome. And then by Monday, Tuesday, you was back making your own packed lunches and scrimping and saving. But you only had about 3 days to wait until you got paid again on the Thursday or Friday. So it was
brilliant.
That rest of the week was just like a pauper, but you don't have much to worry about there. You slip your mum a couple of quid board and that was it. Your travel was taken care of, and away you go. Yeah.
Class. How did you find academy rugby, mate? Was it a step up again?
Yeah, it was. Again, every stepping stone then is just next level up. You know, the academy was fantastic. We had good coaches then, good side. You know, like Kev Sinfields in there, Gaz Carvel, all these players were unbelievable. Academy side, and we won the competition. You know, pretty much every year. Then back then at Leeds, and it was just a great step up. You know, teams like Wigan and Saints and Hull just all had unbelievable academy teams. Well drilled. You're just coming up against the best teams week in, week out, which is only good for your development. You're getting coached well. You know, things like that, video review and all that were kind of coming in then, and being able to watch your games back and just have that hands-on. And sometimes you train first team as well with the first team lads and be able to train alongside, you know, internationals, you know, like Barry Mapp, that's hilarious. So it was a great time and great. And what I loved about that, the academy always played before the first team as well. Like they were always curtain raisers back then. So we'd always play, you know, Friday night about 5 o'clock, and then, you know, come the end of the game when the ground was filling up with Leeds fans and the opposition, you know, it was a massive. It felt like a massive crowd there. You're playing on the same field, so it was just great experience for put you in good stead for when you went on to make, you know, your first team debuts and play first team, because you'd already kind of been in that environment and experienced it to an extent.
Yeah, so do you know, like you're popping in and out of schools and then you're playing, because you're beginning to play on the big stage, like you said, the fans are crawling in, but as you'll go on, because of how good you were the start of that golden generation, academy-wise at least. Are you knowing, or do you think that you began your coaching journey back then? So you're learning how to handle yourself, you're learning how to be around internationals, you're in and out of schools coaching youngsters. So not only are you playing, your rugby smarts are getting better and better. As well as your ability, aren't they?
At the time, I didn't notice that. Now looking back, you do that. All that experience of being thrown into schools and just like being able to communicate. Communication is massive, isn't it? Just for anyone who's a 16, 17-year-old, you know, sometimes you're trying to hold a conversation with a 16, 17-year-old. It's painful. They can't communicate on the phone. They're struggling these days. We're talking, but then you were 16, 17, you were thrown in, you had to go, you know, speak to teachers, introduce yourself to the school, headmistress, all this, introduce yourself, you know, to the school, there's talking assemblies, all these little things that we was having to do, you know, present to kids in assemblies, teach them, talk to them, and you know, it's hard. I struggle talking to my kids at that age sometimes. But you've got a classroom full of them all going mental, all just kicking balls and throwing balls all over, and you have to try and teach them things and go to their level of where they're at. And all them tools there. Looking back now, it was a fantastic experience, for a learning experience for me as a person as well, just to be able to communicate. I said I was shy as a youngster. I was shy in them situations, as we said earlier. But you have to learn, and you have to kind of come out yourself a lot.
Bit of sink or swim in it. Yeah,
it is, yeah. It is that you just get thrown in, and yeah, it was do your best. But it was
right,
great,
so
it was great fun.
good, because you've sort of like you've not really, you're a bit modest for me. So you got like Alliance Player of the Year, didn't you, before you established yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I got that and Academy Player of the Year, I think. Yeah.
So what does that do for you as you're on the brink, which you were without knowing it, probably?
Yeah, it gives you confidence. Definitely gives you that confidence that you've had a good season. You know, feedback then from your coaches, and I think as a kid, you certainly, as you grow older and you realise that awards are the be all and end all, the individual awards are. But I think as a youngster, it's hard not to be excited. I remember getting, Player of the Year when I was like 12, 13. It was awesome. It was brilliant feeling. So to get recognised then when you're making your way in the academy, it is nice. It is nice. As like I say, as you get older, you realise that it's not all it is, and you don't care about kind of the individual accolades or praise. Then it's all about the team. But back then, it gives you that confidence that you're doing well. The feedback from your coaches and your teammates. Know that you're on that right track. Yeah.
Did you ever doubt yourself, Dan, or
all the time? Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. All the time, yeah. Still doubt myself. Yeah, doubt myself now. Doubt myself when I'm coaching. Doubt myself. Yeah, as a parent, as a husband, as a person. I think that's not so massively, but I think we all have them doubts every day. Am I doing the right thing? I'm gonna be better at this, and it's learning how to channel that doubt and to deal with it and not be too harsh on yourself, be too critical of yourself. And I've been before, like in the coaching journey, playing journey, that you are really, really critical of yourself. And people say you're your own biggest critic, but it's learning how to move on from mistakes. We all make mistakes, and recognizing them, is the first step. But then knowing how to deal with them, make sure that you get better, and I think just having that mindset to get better every day, no matter what you've done, whether that good or the mistakes you made. Know the areas that you need to improve and strive to get better. So that doubt gets less and less.
Yeah. And as you've got older, have you learned to lean on people for that as much as you still do it yourself? Do you reach out?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. There's I think certain age or certain stage in my life, you don't like asking for advice, or you see it as a weakness. But yeah, the more you're open to that and realise that you haven't got all the answers, whether that's certainly as a coach, I never go into the environment and think that I know best here, lads. I know best. You can do it my way, and my way is the right way. I like to speak to players all the time. All the staff, the coaches, get their advice on things, because I'm well aware that I don't have all the answers. And I think if someone can go into an environment that kind of hold their hands up and admit that, and then just get everybody to put into the pot, and everybody to just fire their ideas and their knowledge and what they can do well, and again, that's getting the best out of everybody that you've got. It's getting the best out of the players, and it's getting the best out of your own staff, and trusting what you've got there, that everyone can add something, and me being open, leaving my ego at the door there, that I can ask people for advice and take it on board and learn from everybody around me, whether that's a player or a coach or anyone for that matter.
Yeah, and it encourages big buy-in as well, mate. If they see that you're a bit vulnerable, they're happy to be vulnerable, I suppose.
100%, yeah. We all need to be a bit vulnerable at times, but all have that psychological safety in the environment where we can, stick his hand up, get an answer wrong, or say something in a team meeting without that, without that worry that you're going to get the mick taken out you, or shouted at, or call thick, anything like that. We all, you just hold hands up, know that we all haven't got the answers, but we work hard to improve everyone every day, and everyone's got that safety to open up, be vulnerable. But again, if you've got the attitude the mentality to work on everything and keep improving and be open to it, you're going to have massive improvements in everything you do, and everyone's going to work together to get the absolute best out of the team.
Is that something you've seen a big change in, Dan, as you've gone through the playing and coaching?
Probably, I think so. Yeah, you go through different eras, don't you? And you know, it was quite. You're looking back to when I started. It was quite old school, and you know, there wasn't team meetings back then. Were all on a video VHS that you had to rewind by pressing the button and stuff. It wasn't as smooth, so there wasn't much interaction in things back then. It was probably certain coaches were a little bit more. This is my way. You know, this is how we're going to do things, and as it's. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah,
you find out what works for you and what works for the people that are around you. But yeah, working with different. When my kind of coaching journey started with the under 15s at London, you know, I did the under 15 scholarship and the under 16s, and going from playing, you know, elite level at Super League to then going and having to coach under 15s who were nowhere near kind of the knowledge or the rugby experience that I had and what I was used to around me on a daily basis. Then all of a sudden you've got to adapt, learn what you're working with, and help them in a way that you've not had to before. So it's there's lots of different environments and coaching styles that you pick up along the way that help develop that and make you able to coach to kind of the level that you've got. But it has changed quite a lot over my time. Yeah, I think because it went from started at that start of the Super League era, you know, 1996, and all the kind of changes that went in it. It had only been probably full-time professional 5 or 6 years before then. So the game's come on so much, and the coaching and everything, the resources that go into running a team now are so much better than what it was before, because it's just evolved.
Yeah. Right, mate. So how was you introduced into your first team debut, and how was you told, and how was that week building up to a game? If you'd had a week, sometimes it's a day before, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? I can't remember how I was told. Or I know Graham Murray was the coach. It was at Leeds in 1999. I was 18 years old, and I think, you know, I found out quite early in the week. I know that actually had a full week to prepare. It was unbelievable. Like I say, I'd been in the academy for a few years, started training up at first team the year before, and then was given a chance by Graham Murray, who was an unbelievable coach, and he came in and really changed Leeds' fortunes around, really kind of took them forward as a club and as a team, and just being able to train with them boys on a daily basis and learn from such great coaches was good in itself. But then to be told that you're gonna make your debut is kind of what it's all about. It's what you've dreamed about since being a kid. So it was pretty special. We had so many good players around me back then. You know, it was easy to keep your feet on the ground, easy to keep focused on your job. You know, like what I said, quality players like in my position, like Barry McDermott and Darren Flaherty, and then you know, the car share as a 17, 18 with like Franny Cummins and Ryan Sheridan and players like this who were massively experienced by the time I made my debut. So, you know, it was car sharing with them every day and just picking up things off them, good and bad, and you know, it kept me grounded. It was like apprenticeship. You get done in there by the older lads, and they're always actors. But it was great to have them players around you.
Brilliant, mate. Do you remember much about the game? I knew it was.
Actually, it was Sheffield. We played Sheffield away. So Sheffield, then obviously in the Super League, it was at Don Valley Stadium, and I think we won. I can't remember won or lost, but it was a bit of a whirlwind. Came on as a sub at prop, and it was quite a hot summer's night. Like being, you know, from the start of Sky's coverage and, you know, a couple of years into the Super League, so it was unbelievable. I think I went on to play about 3 games, done another couple of games that year, and then, you know, 7 or 8 the year after. So it was like a nice slow progression to first team in that environment.
So I'm quite sentimental, mate. So I'd have kept jerseys, programs, whatever. Is that something you're into, or?
I always I keep a lot of Playoff, I don't have my debut shirt. I don't know where that is. I don't. It was. I think it was like the white away kit. I don't know.
Yeah, sister bully it off you. Yeah.
No, I never got it, and I don't think I ever
right.
got that at the end of the year. I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes like they'd raffle off shirts and things at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and I can't. But most of the times you get given yours. But back then I can't. I have most of my shirts are still at my mum's in my wardrobe. She's been pestering me, tempting my wardrobe since I moved out about 20 years ago. Still all cluttered in all gear, but they're all. I do keep. There's some programs from early days and from VHS as well. I've got like them games recorded from Sky. I think I probably had my debut game somewhere because it was a Sky game. That'll be on VHS. Not that I've got anything to play on these days, but
no, it's still class, isn't it?
I don't know if my debut one is, but if anyone's got, I think I'd have been number 29. I think it was a white Rhinos kit where I think it had red like a stripe down the side, and I think it would have been number 29. So if anyone's got
it, give you a shout.
If anyone's got that, give us a shout. It'd be nice to know where it actually is. Yeah.
So was you submitted squad numbers then? Was yours?
Yeah, it was all squad numbers. Yeah,
right.
I think it was 29 when I made my debut. Yeah.
That's not a bad number for a young lad, though, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, really. Maybe the squads were a little bit smaller, but every year they kind of take 4 or 5 academy lads at like 18, 19. They take them up into the first team where they train every day. Then with the first team, and you do your 2 years apprenticeship scheme as it was when you were 16, 17, 18. You get, if you either went into either the reserves, played just reserves part time, or you made that step up to first team, and that's what lucky enough to do that year. Yeah.
How did you find it with you only playing handful of games for the first 2 years? As like you said, a nice steady introduction.
Yeah.
Was you back into? Like out of reserve grade, was you like in and out?
Yeah, so the reserves were, then it was, I mean, probably was still old enough then to play academies, because academy was 19, so sometimes you play academy on a Friday night, you might play reserves the following week, and you were just between the two. Sometimes you could play reserves on a Thursday and academy on a Sunday. You play 2 games a week, and that was great because
But when you could and didn't feel it.
I know, that was it. Yeah, you could play a game every day back then, couldn't you? But not now. But it's fantastic. You still train with the first team every week. You went to their games, but you played. You played reserves, so you were still playing. You were still playing with other lads who were in that first team squad as well. I just thought it was a fantastic system there. It's a shame to see that where the reserves has gone at the minute. I know they're trying to get it back this time, but I do think it's so important to have that reserve team for them lads who are in between. So you can lose so many players. You can lose a generation of players by not having that reserves. Because there's dual reg and people send lads out on dual reg, but having that reserve team where he was 19 years old to maybe like 21, 22, where you were just playing week in, week out with lads you knew in the systems that with coaches there'd be first team lads who weren't playing who'd be playing in there. There'd be academy lads stepping up, trialists who they bring in to have a look at, and it was a fantastic system that I just think there's so much value in the reserves. It's a shame to see when it's not up and running. I think it's so important that the game has that system in place.
Yeah, I do myself, because for listeners that might forget or weren't old enough, the reserves back then was people that were coming back from injury, maybe people that weren't quite fit, people that were out of favour, but most of that team was the first team anyway, wasn't it? Just with a few young lads propping it up.
It was. You could be 18 years old and you play against some absolute big hitters who were just coming back from injury, from your Saints and your Wiggins. It's an unbelievable experience to go play against like real men who had played 100, 200 Super League games. You were playing against them at 18 years old, so you had to up your game, and it tested you constantly in that environment. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fantastic system.
Introducing you to the dark arts, was he?
Plenty of that. Yeah. Take advantage of young kids. Yeah.
Did you play the same at Leeds, mate? So would you 19s, reserves, first team play a similar shape and stuff?
Yeah, it was all kind of drip feed down. So it simplifies as you get to lower levels. But it was all kind of the same players. So if you did train up, you did get the opportunity to train up at first team, you could slot right in because you knew what was being called. So it was all very, very similar back then, yeah, the same kind of ethos, same way that you wanted to play, you know, aggressive indeed. That was line speed, all that things was dripped down to you, the important stuff from top to bottom, yeah.
Yeah. So you taught with GB Academy, didn't you? So
I didn't actually get into GB Academy.
No.
I got like I got in the initial squad of about 30.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it got kind of cut from the final, like 20 or 20 half time.
Okay.
I think they went to France.
Yeah.
And yeah, didn't quite make the final squad that year. So gutted about that. I'd had a really good year playing for the academy, but didn't get kind of in the final squad. Yeah.
So how do you use that to springboard to kick on, or do you sort of brush that off and just try and establish yourself again?
Yeah, you use that 100%. You don't, I mean, it's not your main focus, but yeah, you want to prove yourself. I thought I was good enough to. I saw lads who got picked in my position who I thought, you know, I was better than and outperformed when I played them that year. So yeah, you are upset, but you can't be too hung up on it. But you just use it to drive you on, you know, to train hard, to have a good pre-season, to come back next year. So if there's, you know, that next, whether it was England in the 21s or England there, that you knew then when that time came that you were giving yourself the best foot for getting in them squads. So yeah, back of your mind, it did spur you on a bit. It did drive you that you wanted to prove people wrong and use it, you know, use it as fuel in that sense.
Did you tour with the 21s?
I did, yeah. So I got into the England under 21s then. I went to South Africa on that one, which was
not a bad tour, that is it?
I dropped on some good ones then at that time. England there went to Fiji and Tonga. I think that was the year after, but that England, 21 went to South Africa, which they were obviously still a developing nation, rugby league. So we gave them a right pasting, but it was a great tour. Went for nearly like 2 weeks to South Africa, which was an unbelievable experience for us. And there, you just met up with there were quite a lot of Leeds lads on that tour, you know, like Sheb and Danny Maguire, Rob Burrows, and the players like that who were just breaking into first team at the time, and then some quality players also, like, you know, Sean O'Loughlin, players like that who were breaking into other first teams. So it was pretty solid team back then, and decent country to go visit.
Good stuff, mate. So when you're playing in the big games and the big occasions, mate, how do you approach them? Because as much as you want to say the cliche stuff like it's just another week and it's just another game, they're not, are they?
No. It's you can feel the old, or you just concentrate, it's just another game stuff.
That's it. I'm not thought about it.
That's what I tell the lads. It is. It's really exciting, especially like your first, you know, one or two. You know, when you get to either your first like test matches or like cup finals, they are special because you've got so much more going on. Like the press are all over. You know, you've got press conferences and people that training. You might, you know, do different things, go off site. You know, like there might be dues on at night time or something that like for sponsors and things like that. So
your kickers on and that.
Yeah, get your kickers and your pinstripe pants on, and it can affect you, but you just got to enjoy it. That's why you've got them experienced lads who've been there and done that before, who just, you know, can talk to you all the way through it and say, like don't get dragged into this. You know, let's make sure we're on for training tomorrow, or you know, if press conferences or media days are dragging on too long, we'll just pull people away and say that's enough, and they'll just say we've got training tomorrow, we've got training this afternoon. Let's focus on that. So there was always lads who kind of been in that situation and were more experienced than you, who just kept you focused or told you what to expect in certain scenarios. That's the beauty of having, you know, all them levels of experience in your team, that you can turn to them and they can offer that advice as you get through. But I always found them really exciting weeks, just always a little bit different, always a bit of a buzz about the place. Lads had a spring in the step in training, and they were doing great to be part of.
Good stuff, mate. So you got selected for GB as well at the end of 2004, didn't you?
Yes, in the Tri-Nations, so far obviously been a fantastic year. We just won the grand final with Leeds for the first time, and then got got called up on, who was out on his Mad Monday, I think, when John Sharp.
So you probably didn't even believe the call, did you?
Well, that was it, yeah. I probably hung up about twice. I think it was either Brian Noble or John Sharp, whose assistant phoning saying, oh yeah, it's Brian Noble, and then you just click. Old school when your phone was about that big and you could all just get it in your pocket.
The brick,
yeah, that was it, yeah. So didn't believe him because we were already probably about 3 hours into his grand final celebration afterwards, because they had to get straight on with. They were going away, I think, on the Tuesday on a camp in Spain, so they had to get you straight in. So they had to phone you straight away, really, after the end of the season to say you've been selected. So yeah, that was unbelievable. Yeah, on the beers, knowing that I've got to be at Manchester Airport at a certain time tomorrow to go on training camp with GB. No clothes packed or anything. I need the dog to sort out. I dropped the dog off at my mum's to get babysat, and all a bit of a whirlwind on the end of a fantastic year. But yeah, it was a great experience playing the Tri Nations were over here that year. Australia, New Zealand, and managed to get a game against New Zealand at Hull, which was again just an unbelievable experience to make your Test debut. And getting just them levels, you go from playing at Leeds or unbelievable players into going into GB, which is the absolute elite players in the comp. Yeah, like Andy Farrell and players like that. It was Paul Sculthorpe's. It was absolute next level, and the standard just goes up another notch every time you climb that kind of ladder.
Yeah. So if we go back a little bit, mate, the playoff system, is that something you're fond of? I know for that fans it's excitement, but how do you view being probably the most consistent team and potentially losing in a semi? Is that something you're a fan of?
I love it. Yeah, I love the playoff system. Yeah. I think it just is what it is now. We just got used to it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
love it. I think it does bring the game to a
big.
Yeah,
I do. I think. Yeah, I think I'd like the. I mean, they've been chopped and changed so many times. Top 6, top 5, top 7. So I'd like it to be a little bit bigger. If the league was big and you had a top 8, similar to the NRL. I think the NRL's fantastic where it's like top 8 and it's different. If you lose a game, but if you come out, you have another life, so you go again. And you used to love that, where if you lost your first game because you'd finished higher, you went to go again that next week, and the emotion of having to bring yourself up from losing a game close to then knowing next week you're in absolute knockout football. There's no more lives, and you've got to win that next game. I love the drama of it. I'd like it to be. I think it should be expanded like that, top 6, top 7 potentially, and have more teams in it. So you've got then teams fighting to get into that playoff a little bit more, rather than I think at the minute if it's the top 4 or 5, you've kind of got that's boxed off with plenty of time to spare, or you certainly mid-table. Sometimes you've just got nothing to play for the last 5 weeks of the season. But I think it's good. It's harsh if you the amount of times that you win a league leader shield and you don't go on to win the grand final. It's tough because no one remembers who's won league leaders throughout the year.
No.
As much as it's fantastic getting a league leader shield, so you've been top of the tree for the season, it means absolutely nothing really, unfortunately, when the last day comes. But I do think it's a great concept. I really love it. Yeah.
And just a little one for is you've played, like you just said then, some of the games, if you finished higher, you've got that fallback, haven't you? But say you were to, how would you get yourself to them levels every week? What little things you'd have to do? Because we all know sometimes if you've played the game, even if it's football, cricket, whatever, it's hard to get up there again and again, isn't it? It's not only emotionally, it's physically difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Yeah, the emotion of having must-win games, and it's tough. I suppose that's why the best do it and do it well and be consistently good at it. I think you just commit to the process of just making sure everything you're doing is geared towards that game that week. So ticking all the boxes all week. You're sleeping well. You're hydrating yourself all week. You're eating well all week. Not just the odd days, not just in the 2 days building up to the game. From the end of the game that week, every day, then you're recovering, you're swimming that next day. So you can go to sleep on a night, you can get up in the morning knowing that you've done everything you possibly can to put yourself in a good place at the weekend. And you do that then the next day and the next day, and you've just got to be just on the money with all that. And you can still be relaxed, but you're relaxed because you know you've ticked all them boxes, and everything you've done is just going towards that game each week. That is tough because mentally it is hard. If you lose a game as well, the drain and the emotional emotions that go into losing, especially a tight game, one of them playoffs where you might lose by a couple of points, you might have come top of the tree and you might be at home and you're expected to win. All of a sudden, you think you should be going to a grand final, but you've got to play off against third, fourth place team the week after in a knockout game. That's the beauty of it, and that's the drama that comes with it, and the challenge of a professional player to raise the game, kind of put what's gone. Can't do anything about that now, so let's fully focus on that next week. You can't worry about that game. You put it to bed when you reviewed it, so everything you do in that following week is just geared towards that 80 minutes at the weekend, and you're going into that game knowing that you've done everything you can to fully prepare, not leaving anything to chance, or should have maybe got an earlier night the night before, or should have done this, should have swam. I've not done enough recovery or rehab, and you can't have them things going into your mind when you're going into them games.
Yeah, and depending on the result, mate, it's a different emotion. So if you've been hammered, it's the anger in it, which is a bit easier to shake off than the 1 or 2 or 3 point loss, isn't it? It's a bit like you've given it everything, because sometimes you just get beat by the better team, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
but other times,
so many different scenarios. Like sometimes I would find that if you get hammered, it's a bit easier than losing by 1 or 2. It's a bit easier to take an hammer and you're like, oh well, we were awful. That's it. We need to fix that up. But if you've lost by a couple of points, and then you're like, well, what if we'd have done that, or if we'd have kicked this there, if we'd have kicked on that tackle, or if we'd have not missed that one. There's so many more things that you're going through your head that just plague you when you've lost by a couple of points. But again, there's nothing much you can do. But that's hard. I suppose that's the elite level that you're at, where you've just got to put all that
margins
back of your mind, and just focus on doing all them things that next time you're in that situation, you come out on the other side of the result.
That's it, a little 1%, isn't it?
Yeah, but being up there mentally for that amount of time, especially, but that can be a good thing, because you see so many teams make that late season charge and just hit form at the right time. I think Bradford did it to us in 05. They were kind of out the start of the season really bad, but then from mid-season they just went on a run. I think they finished the season in third place to beat Saints, like knocked Saints out at their place, and then they beat us in the final. So they just went on the up and up. But it is hard to keep being on the up. But if you're kind of on it, you just keep riding it, then you're kind of in that zone every time you're playing, and you're so confident that if you can peak it, I think it's just about peaking at the right time of the season. And some teams do it really well. You'll see some teams who set off like a house on fire, but then they fall into bits by the end of the season. There's so many things that you can throw in that can affect you, and it is. I don't know what the right winning formula or if anyone kind of knows it.
Yeah, and if you're in that top 3, mate, without really probably realising it, you're everyone's cup final to a degree, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're there to be knocked off, and then the teams below you have nothing to lose. If they're like they've come 5th or whatever, they've got nothing to lose. It's must win for them, and you're going in as favourites. So you've got that pressure of a home crowd and being a favourite, and you should walk this, and it can affect you totally differently. Yeah.
Well, you're in that environment. Do you get the outside stuff? Because you've put enough pressure on yourselves anyway within it, don't you?
I think I can't remember ever having that, but I think it's probably a bit of a different day with social media and things like that now.
Yeah.
I think the challenge of that and the pressure that probably comes on players these days, and the criticism, and the glory that comes around it when they're doing well. I think it must be so hard for a player in this day and age to kind of bat all that and not be, so there's obviously a lot of lads, a lot of players who are on, your Twitters and your Instagram and all these followers, and seeing what's written about them all the time, and But we always say you can't focus on anything outside. So our message as coaches is all you can focus on is what's in between these four walls, the players that are in this room, and that's all that matters. It's not the CEO's opinion, it's not the media's opinion, it's not the fans' opinion. Anything of that is just absolute. It's no good. It's not doing us any favours, and no one cares about that whatsoever. What the other team's doing. We can't focus too much on that. It's all about what's in this room, and the outside influences now that are going is a lot more than what it was in my day. You just picked up a paper and read some column inches if you wanted to read it. There was no social media as such back then that paid attention. So
you had to cut it out for your scrapbook, mate, for your 100 metres ride.
That's it, yeah. Old scrapbook with a bit of sellotape in, funny enough, still knocking about my mum's, I think, yeah.
Class. So, mate, I was going to ask about World Cup Challenge. Is that a concept you're enjoying, something you want to see kick on? Because I don't feel they buy into it like us, do they?
No, it's a funny one. It is a really good concept if you can do it right. It's hard at the time of year to do it at the start of the year, and with the Super League season starting really early, it's always before the NRL kicks off. They always kind of see it as a warm up, but they always seem to come over and do pretty well as well. And it's always in England. It's never like to see it a little bit more in Australia. I like to see us just go over and challenge them in their back garden a bit, rather than it always kind of be them coming over here on a bit of a pre-season camp. Using it as a bit of a pre-season friendly, and sometimes you get a mixed bag of what kind of team they'll put out or what kind of performance they'll put in. Sometimes they'll win, sometimes will win. I do like the concept. I liked the when everyone was involved that year and they did that. The
3 games.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Yeah, when every club was involved and you went over to Australia and on a block and played 3 teams over there as probably as dominated as the English teams got in that. There was only a handful of wins, weren't there, from the English sides. I think it was a fantastic concept. Whether something like that could be done, but in a smaller scale, whether like it's the top 4 who get to play in that or top 6, I thought that was brilliant for the game. And travel at them, you can travel over and do all that in a 3-week block, 4-week block. So I do think there's the scope for it in the game of doing something along them lines, certainly. But I think as a World Cup challenge, it would be good to see the English teams go over to us a little bit more and try and compete in their back garden. And I think that'd be great for Aussies to see the level of Super League. See the standard of Super League over here and go compete over there. I think that'd be a lot better for our game.
And how did you find it being involved in it, mate? And was it a special occasion?
Unbelievable, yeah. It was fantastic. It was, such a special occasion. It was at Ellen Road when we played in it against Canterbury. Yeah. Being our local lads, a team full of Leeds United fans, so to play like at Ellen Road in front of such a big crowd as well. I mean, we got fair amount of the game. And for the first time, we kind of competed in it, being the first time we've been champions. To play against Canterbury, such famous, and on our side, I'd like young Sonny Bill playing, and that was probably the best performance. Well, first half performance was just unreal. It just felt like one of them games where everything just clicked. Everyone was just on the money in everything we did, and that's probably it felt like as close as perfect 40 minutes as we'd ever played, and was on fire, and they came back hard in the second half and made it a close game. But as an experience, it was unbelievable, to win that with lads who again we'd grown up playing with in the academy. So look back at the team then, it was so many of us had just come through the system together and played in the academy. By the time we'd won the grand final, and the World Club, we'd been playing together, for 7-8 years, a lot of us.
Knew each other in and out,
it was just, we were still only young kids, 23, 24s, 25s, but we'd had like 8 years of playing together through academy and reserves, and with such good mates and like a local kind of bunch representing your kind of home side. It was unbelievable.
Did you get many moments in your career, mate, where you just felt you were unbeatable and some of the stuff you were doing was just unplayable, basically?
Pretty much, yeah. Around that period there, I think 05, the year after, that was probably the best. We didn't win anything. We lost both finals that year, but as a team, that's probably the best team I'd ever played in. We managed to somehow blow the 2 finals, and yeah, in the 04 and 05 season, you felt invincible. Like, you were young kids, and something about that kind of young bravado and that you have, and a bit of swagger about yourself when you're performing well and you're training hard. Because that's what we worked hard. No one worked harder than us in training, and we flogged ourselves, worked hard in the gym, and we're just such good bond of mates that you kind of went out at the weekend. Coaches just got you pumped up, and you felt invincible sometimes looking at players and knowing how hard they'd worked all week and knowing what they could deliver on the field. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. So the move to Cass comes about, mate, and is it something you'd ever thought of doing, leaving Leeds, really, or was it mutual? Was it out the blue? How did it come about?
I got sacked. I got sacked at Leeds. Yeah,
just straight up. Yeah.
No, that was it. Yeah, I was behaviour and that, and obviously made mistakes there off the field that they got me sacked. Which, yeah, you look back and yeah, it was a pretty difficult time. It happened in like January time, so done majority of pre-season, and done a few stupid things as a youngster, like 24 at the time, and yeah, they couldn't stand any more of that, and yes, give me marching orders, which it was difficult. And then Cass came. They'd just been promoted that year, so ended up signing for Casford. And I never even thought of leaving Leeds. I didn't think I'd leave Leeds, but it was. You look back and say you, in a sense, you regret what happened and the things that I did in that sense. But on the flip side, I wouldn't be where I am now if these experiences wouldn't have happened. So people say, "Will you change anything?" And I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be down here. Wouldn't have come on the journey I had to Cast and end up in London, and being where I am now with my family, and probably going to coaching, had the coaching opportunities that I would have had down in London. So things happen for a reason. You learn from your mistakes. As long as you're not consistently messing up or going back and making the same mistakes, I was smart enough to try and learn from them mistakes that I'd made and move on and try and better myself as a person, as a player, and make the best of that situation and just move forward.
How was it going from you're competing at the top level? You've toured with Britain, you've played in World Cup Challenges finals. Are you going now to Castleford to instill a winning culture, to lead from the front? Did they lean on you for anything like that?
I think so. Yeah, they're quite, because they've just been promoted. Yeah, you're coming from a top club where you've just been playing in finals. You obviously have that level where you've been performing at that stand each week. So I thought I played pretty decent rugby at Cass. It was Terry Matson was a coach, fantastic bloke, and they had a good bunch of lads there at Cass. And loved me there. We were unfortunate to get relegated at the time, which was tough, and going from one end of the spectrum to the other. The year before I was playing the grand final. The year after, I was playing in a relegation side at Wakefield. And it was, again, you look back now, and that's, I think, as a coach, I've been in so many experiences, so many different experiences that I can draw on. I've not just been at the top all the time, not been played at the top, and having that experience as a coach and the player, you get to pass that on to players who, and your knowledge, and they can delve into that emotional side of what I've been through to help them, I think, as a coach. Yeah. So, but it was a great experience. So sad ending to it, because we got relegated, and it was a tough time for the club, and it was a bit of a crazy year all in all, with leaving Leeds in January and then getting relegated with Cass in October. But love my time playing there.
How's the changing room when you're under the pump like that, Dan? Where do you have to go to keep people on track and the buy-in to still be there?
I think as long as you you know that you're putting in the work during the week. You know, it is so. So I think a lot of it comes down to the characters you've got in the changing room. We've got good people in there, good lads in there who want to buy in, are there at the club for the right reasons. You know, want to play for the club, want to play for that badge on the shirt, want to play for the mates in the team. You know, want to play for the coach, have good relationships with the coaches. It's all about the character of them people in there. And if you've got, you know, people who are the opposite and aren't there for the right reasons, you know, whether that's money or if they've signed somewhere else for next season,
like a stepping stone.
It can be hard. It can be tough, but you've got to get the right people on board. And if you have that, then you know your changing room is pretty sweet. No matter what you go through, what adversity you face, you know, you're coaching them to deal with that throughout your year, throughout your pre-season. You're putting players under pressure. That's our job as coaches, to put them. Make them face adversity in training, in games, discuss it openly again in reviews, in classroom sessions. So when they get in them situations in games, they know that they've been there before. They know that what they need to do to get out of them, and know that they've got each other's back to work hard together. And you know your mate's going to be, you know, giving his everything to get out of that situation with you. I think that's so important, is the character of the people there and the work that you put in throughout the year, and keep that consistent.
So when all this is going on, you're 24, 25, you said?
I was there 25 then at Cash, when we got relegated,
Is your coaching brain ticking, or are you still fully...
No, I don't think that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I never saw myself getting into coaching at all.
Okay.
As a player, I couldn't probably thought about worse. People say, "Would you get to coach?"
Yeah.
I just went, no, not really. No, as a player, it's the best life in the world. You see, you play, you train, you get in your car at like 1, 2 o'clock, and you disappear and you switch off. That was me as a player. I'd just switch off at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Go home, go play golf, go play snooker with my mates, you know, go whatever, go out for something to eat, go into town, do anything. You just switched off. And I saw then what the coaches were doing. Now they'd prep, what they were going through each week, what time they were clocking off, the stress that they were under. And I'm like, that's
not a bit of me.
No, I need to go play snooker. So and I never thought I'd get into coaching at all. Even in you see some more experienced players towards the back end of the career, like you could see that their interest is in it. They might go coach like the scholarship or the academy, or they'll be just like really invested in team meetings. The coaching side comes out, and they'll start being really hands-on with the young fellas and the talk like, he's going to be a good coach, be helping out in the sessions. And that was just never me as a player. Even when I was like in 30, 31. My last couple of years at Quins, it never crossed my mind. And then it wasn't until I retired and kind of moved back up north for like a year.
Yeah.
So that's where we thought we'd settle. And I'd retired for injury, so my wife went out to work. I was just looking after as young kids who were like 1 and 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And just having that year out from the game. I mean, the game had been all my life since I left school at 16. I was fully immersed in full-time rugby, 15, 16 years, and that's all I'd done. And then having that year out where you just all of a sudden you've not got 30 blokes around you every day, you've not got that camaraderie, you're not playing rugby. I realised how big a part of my life it was, how important it was for me to be involved in that, and kind of just realised that I actually had more of a passion for the game than I kind of thought in the last few years. Maybe I got kind of like last couple of years, my body was falling to bits. Maybe I kind of got ground down a little bit in like kind of got sick of it in a sense, or just didn't see the enjoyment or the positives in the game as much, because you're struggling to walk after a game for a few days and you're seeing them bits, how hard it becomes. Maybe I'd kind of fallen out of love of it in that last year or two, but because of them things. Having that year out and just realised how passionate I was about the game and how big it's been. Like I say, spoke about my dad playing and been going to games since I was a couple of weeks old. And that's all I'd ever had and all I've been a part of. And having that year out, reignited that. So, I was lucky and we moved back down south. And I just spoke to Phil Jones, who was the head of youth down at Queens, and says, is there anything I can do? Can I get involved back in coaching? Can I come in and help with it? And he says, come in, get involved with the scholarship. It's 1 day a week. See how you like it. And then coming back and coaching 15-year-old lads at a game that I've loved all my life, and seeing how their journey's just beginning and how they're just like sponges in training, how eager they were to learn the game and take on board what I'm saying. Then you see them little progressions every week from that age group. That's what made me fall in love with coaching, and then from there, took over the academy the year after. But as a player, I never ever wanted to get into coaching because I got worse.
It's mad, isn't it? So
and then it would be a coach. Yeah.
So then little bits that you've just spoke about didn't even enter your mind really when you signed for London, did they? So why London? Was there anyone else keen or?
Brian Mack was my reason. Brian Mack was a coach then, and he'd been assistant at Leeds. When I was playing my best rugby at Leeds, he was Tony Smith's assistant. Really loved working for him. He was obviously a very good prop at my position, and I think played against him when he was older at Bradford, so a good reputation. And just loved working for him at Leeds. And then once he'd gone to London, he wanted to get us down there as well because of his relationship that we'd had at Leeds, and he knew what I could do. I knew what he could do for me. So it was a no-brainer once he came on to sign us in London. It was one of them where I went, I've been seeing she was my girlfriend back then, but my wife, we'd been together about a year, and we just KJ, and then let's go down to London. Let's see. We signed a 2-year deal. Yeah, it was just a bit of a journey. Let's go down there, a bit of an adventure. We'll go down there for 2 years, and that's all I thought it'd be. I generally thought we'd just come down for 2 years and that'd be it. We'd probably come back up north, but two turned into 4, so I signed again, and then 4 turned into 15, and we just loved being down here, and started as family when we came down, and it's been a fantastic journey. But Mac was probably the main reason why I came down here originally.
So I've had a few guests on, mate, and he's not everyone's cup of tea, Bri.
No.
So is he just confrontational? Is he maybe a bit too honest, or what is it?
He's a very honest man. Yeah, he's very open and honest. He just demands the best from you. Demands that you do your job and you know your role and you do your job. I never had an issue. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, and it can ruffle a few feathers. But for me, it was fantastic for me as a player. And he's a strange cat, but we're all a bit strange, aren't we?
That's it, mate. Yeah, and as a player, you only want but as a player, you only want honesty, Dan, don't you? And if that's what he gives you, I'm sure that's what you give people as a coach.
An honest bloke, hard-working bloke. He's no more tougher than Royal Marines, and instilling that in players and the disciplines in players and that honesty in the players. I thought, that certainly got the best out of me. Maybe I needed that at that time in my life, that kind of mentor for me was fantastic. So I can only speak personally that it was a reason that I came down here and enjoyed my time down here.
Yeah, and how did you find with you being twins? Was it you were playing at the Stoop, weren't you? Yeah,
it was at Stoop. Yeah.
Did you ever hybrid training out with them?
We trained out the same training ground. We shared training grounds down in Roehampton. So we come across the lads a lot of the time. I was a good bunch of lads, and they were probably they'd have only been a few years into full-time kind of rugby then with the rugby union scene. That was just growing into it. But shared the gym and shared the training ground down there. But no, we never had any kind of hybrid training, no. Because with the seasons, they were always played winter, we were summer, so it never kind of fitted in that you were at the same path of your
level of training.
We was into our peak. They were in their peak when we were just starting out pre-season, and likewise. So it never could really work out that we could have like a bit of a game together or a training session, really.
Sound like you didn't want that scrum machine, Dan, did you?
None of
that.
I know we'd see them lads out there, and we're like, wow, glad you're not a forward in rugby union. See all the forwards, all the big fellas would just be smashing into the scrum machine for about an hour, and all the backs would just be kicking and laughing and just having a right time. And the big fellas were going through it, and then they'd come in, they'd go back out, they'd train about 4 times a day. Just give them a wave as we were leaving at about 1 o'clock.
Putting your cue in your boot.
We'd just give them a wave and know that they've got about 3 more sessions to go.
Hey, but I am a 9, by the way. I grew up playing 9 at school, mate. I don't play proper, man. No, you. I play 9, but I'm not that man. No
scrum machine for me,
So when that second 2 years come about, was it an easy decision then, mate? Did you just...
Yeah, really easy. Yeah, never kind of wanted to kind of go anywhere else. We just was happy down south, loved it down there. And we just really settled. And Mrs. is a Dewsbury lass herself, so she was from the same town up north, but never wanted to kind of come back up. We was happy down there. We thought we'd come up north when I retired. So we assumed once we'd had retired, that's why we moved up north for a year, because we thought that's what we'd do. But after we was back up north for literally a couple of months, and said we preferred it down south. Should we just move back down south?
From home, mate.
That's what it was. When you're used to it, used to being away from your family and friends a lot. You get used to just being in your own little bubble, which was down here, and enjoyed that. So we just decided to come back down. We didn't come back down for rugby. We didn't come back down after the time. Didn't come back down to coach. Came back down just because we loved living down here, and then just getting in contact with the club. Then that we just started doing a bit with a scholarship, but it was always just come down for the love of living down south.
Right. So is that mentoring role still on you now? Because you're at the back end of your career, you're playing there, even though you're still a young man in 30s in the front row, aren't you? But are you leading from the front with culture, with performance, with recovery? Are you helping develop that mentality? Because there's some good product come from London now, mate.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, like I say, maybe not the recovery side of things.
Snooker and beer, mate, recovery, innit?
That was it. Old school Monday club. Yeah, in Pot Black, just 10 frames. But no, like that's, I think it always been drilled into us as a strong work ethic from the early days at Leeds in the academy with his coaches. Then that spoke around, that was always drilled into us, and Nick knew what it was about then. We just worked hard. I was never a flash player. I never one for doing many flash things, but I knew my role, I knew my job, and knew how to do that. I like to think I was pretty consistent. Probably not many 10 out of 10s in my career, but plenty of 7.5s, 8s where I was just just doing my job every week. And I think that's what I just tried instilling now as a coach, is that everyone knows the role, and the young players that we had, like Tony Clubs and Louis McCarthy's, who were just bursting out the scene then when I was down there, and lots of other Dan Sargentsons and players like that were coming on the scene. So trying to help them with their journey and just do me. I was always just big on just doing my job and just doing that as well as I could, so the team can do theirs and the rest of the team can do their job. Yeah, just trying to instill that into them.
So you mentioned yourself there, mate. You come through the coaching ranks, so to say, at London. So how was it branching out in London when the competitiveness for young lads to play a sport in so many different facets is there? How do you compete with the other sports to get the Dan Sargentsons, the clubs, the LMSs, the Mike McMeekins, because of what he's gone on and he's doing?
Yeah, it's tough because firstly the size of the area that you're dealing with down here is just huge. You've got one club. Obviously the scholars down here as well, but you kind of got one club who's got the whole pathway of the juniors who come into scholarship, come into an academy, and the area is just massive. You're going into Essex, you're going down the south coast to Brighton. You've got lads, 15 years old, and the mums and dads are driving 4-hour round trip to get them to training, once or twice a week. Then you've got lads on public transport doing 4 hours, 5 hours on the tubes, trying to get to training three times a week. So commitment from from them lads is just massive that they're putting down here. So that in itself, they deserve a massive rap for it, because they just want to play the game. They're passionate about playing the game, and they want to have that commitment to come to training a couple of times a week. You are competing a lot now with rugby union, football. There's lots that you compete with down here, but I think the thing that we did well is we had a real clear pathway of, it was an elite program. It was, this is where you can go. You've got your Super League side there. You've got London lads that we could show. Look, we've got Louis McCarthy playing. He's a London lad. He's playing first team. He's played, nearly 100 games of Super League for Quins. So them lads coming into that scholarship program could see that. They could see that we're playing juniors. It was clear to them that, well, if I work hard here, they've got that. They've got the academy. There's something to strive for, and the program that they've always run is really professional. Which I think at the time was better than what union programs were, or football programs that just take all as many players as they can and then chew them up, spit them out. We was just a quality program, quality facilities, good coaches, all about that, giving them the best that we could give in terms of care and support for them. It's not always about the best facilities or money thrown at them. You've got to be able to care for these youngsters and know that you've got the best interests at heart. You want to develop them as rugby players, and they can see that pathway from scholarship academy to first team, and they've got lads there already playing. The proof's in the pudding. We've got 50% of the first team squad's made up of London lads. That can be you. That's what you can strive for. But
you just got you just got honesty with them, Dan. You've just been upfront with them, and if they're not going to make it as a rugby player, they're going to leave you a better person, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah. You're developing people. You're developing as people. That's the first thing. You're giving them so many skills to be a good bloke, a good person first and foremost. The rugby comes second. You're developing the character, the work ethic. Little things like tidying up after themselves. As a kid, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes 16, 17 years old, you're a mess. You've got a lot of lads who when they get to first team at 18 years old, they'll have to live in accommodation, they'll have to move across London so big down here, move away from the parents at 17, 18 year old, and they're living it all of a sudden. They're living in a house with 4 over 18-year-olds, and they don't
have to turn the washer on.
100%. You're going round. You got day one of pre-season. You're going round with a bag full of bleach and toilet cleaner and toilet roll. So this goes down there. It's just clean your toilet. And and this is how your washing machine goes. And you're actually going around and teaching these lads little skills. There's times when if I was stopping for like an academy session on a night from first team, I'd just tell them, lads, I'm coming round your house for dinner tonight. I'm coming around, you're gonna cook me a meal. So I'll be around about 5 o'clock. Make sure you've got, here's a fiver, make sure you cook us something nice, and we go around, and then they'd have to
super noodles.
That's it. Things like that, they just don't know. They shouldn't really be living out at home when you're 18. These lads don't know how to cook. They've always had the mums and dads do things for them. They don't know how to wash the clothes. There's still lads taking bags of washing on to the mums every weekend, and you try and just teach them life skills like that, as well as other things about being the character, making sure the good people, looking after each other, being polite, all that. That's you're just helping them with them life skills of being a good bloke. I'm not saying there was any issue. There weren't good blokes, but you develop it just as they progresses into adulthood. There's so many obstacles that come over as young men that you just help them along, and they make mistakes, and you have to sit down with them. And if you're going to make that mistake 2-3 times, then we're going to have an issue. But I understand that you've made an error there, and we need to fix that up. This is what you need to do in that situation if it arises again. But you're just developing the people, and then the rugby comes second. If you've got that character of good people and they want to work hard and they've got that work ethic, then you can help and mould them into rugby players.
So how was the £1 million game, mate?
Unreal. Again, you look back and you see we had going on that point of we had about 9 lads in the match day 18 who'd come through that system. And that's what made that so special for me. Is there were one or two lads in there who I coached under 15s when I first went back down to London, who were turning out then in the £1 million game, and that's what made, I think, that day so special. As the young London lads that were on the show, and we weren't given a chance to win that game. We're not given a chance all year, but the only people kind of believed it was the lads in the changing room, the players who were in that meeting room prior to it. They were the only lads who believed that we could get that job done. And
the ones that mattered, mate, innit?
Yeah. That's what we spoke about earlier. That's all that cares. The outside influences, what the rest of the club think, or what the media think, or the bookies are saying. It's all absolutely irrelevant. You've got a team there who just believe that they can go over Toronto. We've been beaten heavily twice over in Toronto that year. We were lucky enough to go over 3 times. So we've been over in the middle eights, the normal season, but somehow they believed when we went over a third time that there were no way they were going to lose, and that's what it felt like in that game. It was a weird one because we'd had more stressful, although the score was 4-2, we'd had more stressful games at the back end of the season trying to just make the playoffs.
Yeah.
In the middle eights, we'd have more stressful games. I don't know. Again, you feel like you win the time being in the zone, but it just felt like the lads were always going to win that game. They just felt so on at that point, peaking at the right time, and so focused and knew the roles and knew how to get the win over there. That coming to back end, 5 minutes, 10 minutes left, we felt like we weren't going to lose, and it was unbelievable. Yeah,
nice place to be in then, that, innit?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, we've been over 3 times and spent nearly 2 weeks there in Scotland. All that year we completed it. That's what we said. We'd done the touristy bits. Right, we'd been to Niagara Falls. Everyone goes over there and go to Niagara Falls, and a couple of times we've been up. We've probably been a bit too touristy, a bit too wrapped up in going down to Toronto. Lads, even though they'd go into the city the day before the game, just have a walk around. But if you go into the city, you're going to walk about probably 3 miles, and you don't even know it. So all that little stuff had been wrapped up in going to a massive, beautiful city like Toronto. We've done, lads have gone to the baseball. We've done things like the Blue Jays. We've ticking all these touristy boxes. Got smoked twice over there by about 40 points.
Probably done you a favour, though, didn't it?
That was it. By the time
got it out the way.
£1 million, and we'd completed Toronto.
Yeah, you were resident.
That's it. So we just sat in his hotel room, just eating, swimming, and the boys just prepared himself. Brilliant, because they'd done over. They knew what had not worked before. They knew they couldn't do things like that, and they were so focused on. Every time we came away from it, we knew, next time we come, we'll do this, we'll do that differently. That worked. This didn't work. And then the second time, we thought we came away in the middle eights thinking if we had an inkling that we might go there, we were looking like we might go there for £1 million game, and we just came away thinking, if we come back from £1 million game, we're going to nail this. We know exactly what to do and how to do it. So that's what it felt like. Yeah, so we stayed in his hotel and just got his head down. Yeah.
So obviously you end up leaving London after taking him to the promised land, mate, don't you? And is it Rosslyn Park that come in and had a chat and you've ended up going there, was it?
Yeah, so left London last July now, and then been just pottering about the house for a fair few months and doing DIY badly, and then Rosslyn got involved because that's where Broncos train, out at Rosslyn Park. Knew a couple of their staff, head of performances. There's the old head performance who was at Leeds when we won the grand final as well, Steve Walsh. So I knew him from my time there, and just got talking to a few. They were coming to the back end of the season and wanted to get us involved there. So loved it. It's been a fantastic experience. Good people and a good set of lads, and just gone in, helped with attack and defence really at the back end of the season. Yeah, so it's been fantastic.
Good stuff, mate. I'm obviously cautious of time. I've had you most of the night now, so a couple of daft questions for you. Sorry, mate. Any pre-match superstitions when you were playing?
Yeah, I had a real weird one. I only ate food with a teaspoon on game days, which is just a bit weird.
Different.
So I'm like, I don't know why and don't know how it started, but I'd have porridge on the morning. I'd have to eat with a teaspoon, and then I'd make like rice or pasta, and I'd just eat food with a teaspoon on a game day, and then I don't know how I snapped out of it. So I did that for a few years. Well, that's a bit weird now. Like, what? Even when I went away, if you go away with, like, every other game at Queen's was an away game, so you'd be stopping in a hotel, and then you'd be like, well, lads would be like, why are you eating? Why are you trying to eat chicken and pasta with a teaspoon? It's like, don't know where it came from. I'm been pretty good apart from the teaspoon incident. So, but that's snapped myself out. But seen some strange ones over the years. But no, that was about it really. That's it. Stick to the same food, stick to the same routine, but nothing more than just eating the teaspoon.
Right. The toughest player you've played with or against?
Well, I'd probably say Paul Sculthorpe's up there was the toughest I played against. I think he was such a good quality player. He could play in most positions. You know, he probably had the toughness as a prop forward, skill of the standoff. Adrian Morley, people like that was fantastic competitors. But I'd say Scully's probably the best one I've played against. He was unreal as a player. Lucky to play with him at GB as well, so it was got both sides of the coin.
Your favourite away ground, mate?
It used to be Knowsley Road. I used to love playing at Knowsley Road. That was fantastic. I thought it was always intimidating, always a big crowd as well. Like a big crowd there. It was always them Friday nights. We used to love Friday nights when it was always Sky game on a Friday. Leeds would travel well, but the pitch was always fantastic. I always found the surface at Knowsley Road was unreal. I'd always say straight because you knew you were going to Knowsley Road, it was going to be like you probably lose the majority of games. I've been in Knowsley Road and been on the end of some massive hidings, but when you win there, it's pretty special. And just share the ground, the atmosphere was awesome. And mainly like the playing surface because I'm a dry track player. I like to play on a nice surface. It's my game, playing on a nice surface. I can use my speed.
Right, mate. So I'm the other way. Horses for courses, slow everyone down to my pace.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Saints are like the fastest team to play against. So absolutely burn you away. But it's somehow just liked the sadistic side. Just liked being in the mixing on the fast track against Saints and testing yourself. Fair
enough, mate. So if you were out with the lads, mate, you've won a few frames. You're in a pub, the mic's in your hand. Yeah. What are you giving us?
Karaoke, it'd be like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. That's always been my go-to. Belted that out quite a few times, but that was always my go-to. A bit of Bob Dylan on the karaoke, but I will just literally sing anything. When someone karaoke, that's me. I'm set for tonight. I won't give the microphone. I won't give the microphone over to anybody. It has to be dragged off, kicking and screaming. Takes me a few beers to get on there, but then once I'm on that, settle yourself in. So I go, full Tom
I've
Jones
got this.
Turn.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, you sit yourself down and just enjoy this, lads. Took yourself in at night,
So you're 1 to 13 that you played with, please, mate.
Oh, tough one. I'd probably say Yestin Harris, the fullback. Yestin was the years we were winning Man of Steel when he was at Leeds. I thought he was just probably the best player in the world. It was unreal. Unbelievable. Probably I'd say Marcus Bai on the wing. Probably a lot of the lead side from that like 04, 05 era, really. Probably Keith Senior in the centre, Marcus Bai. I thought they were unbelievable.
He was, they had some good there, didn't they?
Other wingers. Jeez, I'll come back to that. Come back to wingers. 6 would be Dan. If I go to 6, that would be Danny Maguire. Maguire would be standoff. Unbelievable player. Fantastic to play with. Going to a great leader. Probably Rob Burrows as well. 6 and 7. It's hard to pick one without the other. Both unbelievable talents at the time. See them come through from young kids to see what they did then in the game was pretty special to be a part of the journey with them. Props wise, I go Danny Nutley. Was with Cass with Danny Nutley. He came over and had a couple of years over in Cass. Thought he the year I was at Cass with him, I thought he was the best player in the comp. I thought he should have won Man of Steel. He was just play about 80 minutes every week, do about 50 carries and about 80 tackles. It was unreal. It was next level that year. The year we got relegated. Probably on the other prop, I'd probably say Louis McCarthy. Just having on there, just his character and his determination to win. He's just always good fun playing alongside him. He'd never he'd be in the middle of a game, that's when he's knackered, and you'd be just laughing at him.
Oh, he brings energy, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He does bring
energy. He brings that. He just brings that bounce about the team and about the changing rooms. His quality, and probably early days we were always fighting, always in the mix of trying to start a fight. And he'd be like, not today. Look, I'm getting too old for this, and he'd just be giving it the big uns, Cockney geezer and all that, and thinks he's Millwall football fan, football hooligan like that on a day out. And I'm like, not today, Lou. It's not the right time. So yeah, not for me. Probably Matt Diskin, I'd probably put a hooker. Disco played, came through Dewsbury Moor together and just, kind of grew up through the academy together. And loved playing with Disco when he was at 9. But some Adrian Morley in the back row when he was a back row when I started out playing at Leeds. Like I say, one of the best to play alongside. I think was Moz. On the back row, struggling. Should have thought this through a little bit more on the spot.
You could throw Scully there, couldn't you? You could throw Scully at 12 because you're 13. It's probably Kev, is it?
I don't know. I was umming about that. I like Rob Purdom or Kev. Kev's obviously unbelievable to play with and captain, but then same. I'm lucky enough to play with Purdo as captain.
He was solid, Rob.
He was just tough as teak. Yeah, Farmer, Cumberland Farmer. I met him on that South Africa tour. That's where I shaved his hair off on that South Africa tour when he'd had a few beers and it was a bit worse for wear. I had him in the room. I just met him there. It was just this weird Cumbrian farmer who just no one really knew much about. So I thought, well, if we shave his hair off, we'll see which way he's going to go. Nearly knocked my head off. So, probably go with Bird. But yeah, that's not a bad shout going with Scully in the back row. And then someone who I left out there, wingers and centres.
So you need your winger and centre, don't you?
Wingers and centres, probably. Brian Carney when played at GB, Brian Carney, he was fantastic, unbelievable. Like solid wingers who make plenty of meters, and he was a quality player. Yeah, really. I think at that time, again, he was one of the best in the world, and looking to play with him. And then centre, tough one. We'll go on with mate Chev. Old mate Chev there, Chev and Keith in them centres at Leeds were a fantastic strike at that time, and I think that'd be my 13. Yeah,